Life isn't as glitz and glamour as it seems on social media.
Riaz Uddin, fitness coach, an entrepreneur, a social media influencer. He's on a mission to help Muslim men lose weight and get closer to their faith.
People who like to look down on you and criticize you a lot of the time is, what are you doing behind closed doors?
Islam and fitness together. Was there a story in your life that made you think this way?
And that was only after a death in my family. And when you keep on chasing the end result, you forget everything that's in between. And once you forget that, you lose yourself.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Muslim men's masculinity being brushed under the carpet.
Do more work, earn more money, and just become more responsible. I used to use music in my content.
There are various of opinions. Qatari scholars, Indian subcontinent scholars.
From 2022 to 2023, 14k to 120k because of one thing that I eliminated, music.
I have a massive favor to ask. As of today, 90% of our viewers have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel. Please, if you are watching and if you are enjoying our content, then motivate us with your subscription. Now let's get straight into the show. How do you introduce yourself to other people? I mean, I know how I would introduce you, but how do you introduce yourself? What do you say about yourself to others when you meet someone new?
Typically, what I say when I introduce myself, people want to know what I do, who I am. To put it simply, my name's Riaz. I'm 25 years old, and I don't know how to introduce, because there's so many things that I do.
Exactly, that's what I'm asking you.
This is the kind of line of work that I'm in. So I'm an online fitness coach. I create content online, a mixture of fitness, faith, entrepreneurship. And then I'm a qualified private audiologist. So I worked privately as a clinician for about a year and a half. After studying, after qualifying, I had some private clinics that I worked with. I left that, and then I've got a marketing agency, which is photography, videography, content creation. And that's kind of, in a nutshell, the main bread and butter of what I'm doing at the moment.
Amazing. So would you say, what would you choose though, if you were to choose one out of all the many things that you've mentioned? MashaAllah, a multifaceted, multi-talented individual, MashaAllah. What would you pick?
The main thing I'd pick is I'd go with the online coaching.
Online coaching, yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right, because a lot of your contents are around coaching men generally.
Yeah.
Mostly, I mean,
only men.
Only men. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Only men. And your niche is, I guess, Muslim
men. Yeah.
Muslim men. Now, were you born in Manchester?
Yeah, so I was born in the UK, in Manchester, but I lived in Germany for 5 years.
Oh.
So, yeah, you didn't know that one, did you?
No, I didn't.
No.
You kept that one quiet.
Ja, ich spreche Deutsch. Ich wohne in Deutschland für 5 Jahre.
No way.
Ich spreche kleine Deutsch.
Yo, so are you speaking German now?
Yeah, I'm speaking
German. Good? Is that good?
No, so I lived there for 5 years. My parents got married there, and my dad worked there. And
how? Well, how did that happen?
It's typical. So obviously, dad born in Bangladesh, and then he came to Germany. And then obviously my mum, she was born in the UK. They got married over in Germany, and then they lived there for quite a few years. And then we came here, she had me, and we went back to Germany.
So, generally, Sileti Bangladeshis, they come to London. Are you a non-Sileti?
I'm not Sileti. No.
Serious?
I mean, Sileti Matafari, but Tura.
Tura?
Nah. Full conversation.
Yo.
I know full Sileti, yeah. I've grown up with Siletis. All my boys are Siletis. I used to work in takeaways, in the kitchen, speaking Sileti. But have you heard of an island called Shundip? Right at the bottom.
I've heard of it. I've heard of Shundip as a name, but I didn't know it was an island.
So it's right at the bottom. It's like almost underwater. It's next to Burma. So
wow.
My family is from Shundip, so we're known class as Chittagongis. You know Chittagong?
Okay, yes.
So we speak Chittagongi, similar to Dakhai. So that's the kind of dialect.
Yo, that's interesting, because every Bengali that you meet in the UK, yeah, I mean, of your age or our age, you'd automatically think they're from.
Oh yeah, from my boys, all of my boys, yeah, I'm the only Chittagonghi. I'm the only one.
Wow.
that speaks Chittagongi. None of them understand what I say when I speak to my parents.
Yes, because I know a lot of, generally Sylheti Bengalis, they come to London. That's the go-to place. But then again, you've got, I think, a lot of non-Sylhetis who are probably professionals. Maybe they've got businesses, and they don't really need to come to London maybe, and they end up going to other countries in Europe, like Germany. So I remember the father of Javed Karim, the co-founder of YouTube, is also he's half Bengali and half German, and I think it's his dad or is it mum that's from Bangladesh, and they grew up in Germany and then moved to the USA. So interesting. So you're 25, mashallah. Like, you've done a lot. You're very smart for your age.
A long way to go.
Long way to go. Do you know how I came across your? It's a funny story how I came across your content, and it was one of those videos that you made. I actually believed it. And then I think when I messaged you, I said, "Yo, like, are you? Is this true what I saw on the content? Because,
are you a single dad?
Yeah, are you a single dad?" That really touched me. I was like, "Yeah, like, like that could be someone's life, But then you told me like, "Nah, I just got married."
For reference for the viewers, I made a TikTok video I think last year because I used to live down south in Surrey, and I lived alone whilst I was working there, getting my private qualification. So I took my little brothers with me. And they stayed with me. I just put one TikTok video. I just put day in the life of a single dad or something like that. And the comments started howling, the views and everything. And I thought, okay, I'm not gonna go. So I was having a bit of a laugh.
What were people saying?
People are saying, why is this guy getting praised? He's a single dad of two, and I've got 5 kids, and no one praises me. Or people are saying like, where's the mother? Or this stupid thing. What I thought would be just something funny to do. People took it seriously, but people who follow me, people who know me, know that I've got 2 younger brothers.
They were probably like, what is this guy doing? Like, he's not even married.
No, but at the time I wasn't married. So at the time I wasn't even married. So none of it made any sense or anything like that.
So you grew up in Germany and then you moved to the UK. Why Manchester?
That's where all my family are. Okay. All my family's from Manchester. My mum, she grew up here, and everybody's here. That's where everybody grew up.
Do you actually like Manchester?
I prefer to London. I'll tell you that. I prefer to down south, but it's nice. It's home, and it's what I've known mainly because I've moved around quite a lot just myself. From studying, I lived in Leeds, and then for work, I lived down south. But I think the reason why I like Manchester so much is it's close to everything, and family's there, and you can't really replace that, can you? So,
Riaz Bhai, brother Riaz, you are doing so many things, mashallah, and very productive, and I can see that in your content, mashallah, always doing something, and you've got a business, you're an influencer, you're a coach, and now mashallah, an active husband.
Yes.
So how do you stay on top of everything? Is there a project management tool that you have to do, or is it kind of writing things down?
The main thing is that I'm not as productive as I seem on social media. I don't do as much as it seems on social media, and life isn't as glitz and glam as it seems on social media. I don't show that personal life and that personal aspect of it as well. But in terms of me productive as an individual, not very at the moment. And it's not this. People think they see me as this disciplined individual and someone like, oh, Riaz does this, Riaz does that. But you know what? To be well and true with it, it's not far from the truth, but it has its peaks and it has its troughs. But going back to what you said, I do write things down. I write down everything. Like, I've been journaling since I was 14 to now. So for the past 11 years, I have 7-8 different notebooks filled with what I wanted to do, talking about my GCSEs, talking about my struggles when I was 15 and 16, 17, 18, 19, and the things I wanted to do, the plans I had and everything like that. And that's what helped me. And that's why I do to-do lists. I do write things a lot. And that's, in essence, how I release what I need to do. And then it gives me clarity in where I need to go and what I need to do.
So do you find that sometimes, it happens to me as well, and I'm sure it happens to you as well, when you write stuff down, like you don't even know like if it's going to happen or not. You just wrote it down somewhere, in a notebook, and then you find that notebook after a while, and then you look at that page or something, and you say, oh my God, I've done it. It's tick, 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 tick. And majority of it is tick.
Yeah. I think it's so true, because one of the biggest things that we actually take for granted and that we don't consider is that a lot of the times we're living in the very thing that we made dua for.
Yeah.
The very things that we're living right now, we prayed for that thing, whether it's, for tahajjud when you woke up, or you just made very sincere dua. And it was only then I noticed that when I'd open up them books, I'd look, okay, coaching business, audiology, get this job, do this, amass this amount, earn this amount of money. And then I'd look at myself and I think, wow, I've actually done it. What I wanted to do 6-7 years ago, I'm living in that right now. But in that moment in time, you always want more.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it as insan. We just always want more.
Yeah.
There's always that higher thing that we want to achieve. And I think it's that difficulty of contentment.
Yeah. But don't you think, like, now more than ever, we need to encourage people to achieve more? I mean, I wouldn't say it's like it's just chasing dunya, because look at what's happening in Palestine. Look at what's happening around the world to the Muslim people. It's generally because we have lost in from a financial point of view, we have kind of lost the battle long time ago. And I think only through not being content and just pushing forward day in, day out. Like look at, like, say, non-Muslim, the way they operate. These guys are awake like 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Like, when you have these builders come to your house, bro, like they're here, like, by 7:55, they're on your door. So their worth ethic is so, like, I kind of get inspired by how they do things. Obviously not what they do in as a foreign policy. But my point is, should we not be more kind of hungry as a nation, as a ummah, for more success?
100%. I think, one of the biggest misconceptions that there's been, and I think a lot of younger generation, and even within your generation, we're led to believe that.
It's funny how you put me on
it. different age bracket, but we won't reveal that. Alhamdulillah. But we're led to believe quite a lot of the time, and I was led to believe, I think, within the community, that as Muslims, sometimes we think that we should be poor, or that we should suffer, and that we shouldn't amass this great amount of wealth, because what we do then is we're chasing dunya. But if you can amass a great amount of wealth by doing it in halal means and striving for something more than just your own selfish gains, then I think you should actually strive for more and go out and earn more. Because the great Sahabas, they were the ones, look at Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Uthman radiallahu anhu, they were the ones that donated the charity. They were the ones that donated, the shields and the weapons. And we think, and we look at sometimes we look at the ustads or the sheikhs or the scholars, and we think, oh no, just live below your means, be content with what you have. But how are you supposed to, help others when you can't even fend for yourself, when you can't even have the means for yourself? How are you supposed to do so much more? Because a lot of the time, we come from poverty-stricken countries. You have Bangladesh, you have Pakistan, you have India. Whilst a lot of the areas are affluent, and a lot of the areas in those countries, when you think, a lot of the people that come from there are extremely intelligent, but the nations as overall, they're not very rich and they're economically deprived. We come from these kind of countries, so it's our responsibility to make something of ourselves so that we can give back there and create a name for, say, Bangladesh, like, where we're from.
Let's face it, we're out there striving, hustling, trying to do what we need to do. We're not perfect. We're humans. We do make mistakes. And one problem of being in social media is, like, you get gunned down. And ultimately, sometimes, although it shouldn't get to you, it does make you think, like, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe, that doubt comes in. I mean, should people not encourage? I mean, I worry a lot about the next generation, because the amount of messages that I get on through my social media, to help people with businesses, and they don't know what to do. There's a huge demand out there where people want to succeed, and that's what when I employ people, I employ them in such a way where they should be able to leave after 3 years or 4 years. So I give all the information and knowledge that I have. But then there's the other side where you just get gunned down, bro. Like, you're just getting violated, because, I don't know, some people will make stuff up. Some people will say things that are not even true.
You have to deal with it, man. That's just the landscape of how it works. And I know one of the recent videos you made, you got a lot of stick for it, the music one. And I saw that, and I was like, and I was reading through the comments, and That's just a small percentage of things, and a lot of the things that I used to get as well. A lot of the comments that I used to get on social media was, stop showing off, stop doing riyah. And I would never do anything like that. I would never post anything to do with showing off, anything to do with, oh look, I've got this or I've got that. Because at the end of the day, I don't. In the grand scheme of things, I have nothing and I am nothing. And the problem we have is that, like you were saying, you try to spread a positive message, say, with the people you employ and the younger generation, and in somewhat way they're quite lost, and that's because of instant gratification. Everybody wanting things instantly. We have food at an instant. We have even lectures at an instant. TikTok, these 15-second lectures that people become scholars from TikTok, and you have all of this information that's like that at a click of a finger, and that's what everybody wants with money as well. They want the end result, but not everything that comes in between. And that's where we get lost, because you're always chasing the end result. And when you keep on chasing the end result, you forget everything that's in between. And once you forget that, you lose yourself. And how are you supposed to get back?
Do you teach people through your mentorship and coaching? Do you tell people, listen, stop trying to get everything quick and, work for it. And, there's a process.
No, you don't? Because majority of the time, a lot of my clients are significantly older than me. They're in their mid-30s or even 40s. Some of them, I think probably I'd say 60% are within a similar age bracket to me. But the main thing that what my coaching entails of is coaching men with weight loss, weight gain, muscle gain, the gym, nutrition, and then implementing Islamic habits into our lives, and implementing the bare minimum things that we can do, like reading Quran, waking up for Salat al-Fajr, which a lot of people struggle with as well, or not listening to music. All of these different facets of life, trying to combine it together, is what I quote unquote teach or help these men with is nothing new. I'm not giving out any information that's not already out there. What I'm just providing is a level of accountability and a level of clarity and a roadmap for what people need to do. Some people need that, some people don't, and some people think it's a waste of money. But at the end of the day, there's people in there, and there's a market there where people need that guidance and that mentorship. Not to say that I am someone to look up to or to be inspired by, because I'm not. Wallahi, I'm not. But over the years, I've amassed a great amount of knowledge, and I've spent thousands of hours, literally thousands of hours, learning and trying to perfect a craft and a skill, which I'm now trying to teach to others, and just trying to find different avenues to work.
When it comes to business, obviously you have put aside your audiology.
Yeah.
That's a question in my mind, like why? Secondly, what are you? Are you more of a marketeer or a businessman, or is fitness first or marketing first? What is first, or is it together?
Fitness in my life, it hasn't been a top priority, I'll be honest, for quite a while. The thing is, I look good, okay, in terms of I'm built decently.
Do you look good? We'll have to let the viewers decide.
I have a decent physique,
mashallah.
And I go to the gym sometimes and I eat.
Sometimes? Bro, you're in gym every time I see your TikToks.
Maybe 3 times a week. Maybe 2 to 3 times a week I'm in the gym. It's not a top priority. Hence why sometimes it feels quite hypocritical when I'm telling all of these guys, look, you need to do this, here's your plan. Because a lot of the time I'm not following through with myself. And I recognize that myself. However, fitness for myself in terms of me living a healthy life isn't a top priority. However, the business model of fitness for me is quite high level priority for me, because the more priority I put on that, the more I want to push myself to be that.
So it kind of helps you along the way. When you're kind of teaching people, it motivates you and you think, I need to continue
because
to
the last thing I want to
myself.
be is this kind of fake guru, which you see on social media. Like I preach all of this, but I barely go to the gym. And I think just prioritizing business over the past couple of months has led me to not prioritize the gym and fitness as much. So going back to your question, I see myself as a diverse, creative entrepreneur. That's what I'd say, is that all of my skills, they have nothing to do with each other. Audiology has nothing to do with photography or videography or marketing. Coaching doesn't really have anything to do with videography or photography. Everything just linked in. And I guess, by the grace of Allah, He just kind of molded it all in together.
If you have been enjoying our content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on whichever platform you're tuned into. Now let's get straight into the show. So you seem to have this framework going where you understand psychology, you understand how social media works, you understand kind of what to do. And you could probably go into any business these days and probably, inshallah, will do well, because
Inshallah.
the biggest challenge is people's prejudice towards a certain individual or product or services. And once that is removed, then I guess you've got a sea of customers. Now, you're quite keen on, and as you should be, Islam and fitness together. Both have to combine. I mean, was there a story in your life that made you think this way, or how did it come about?
I started, again, I'd say practicing or just trying to connect to Islam a bit more when I was probably around about 13 years old. And that was only after the death in my family of my auntie. And after that, there was quite a few other deaths as well. And it happens, people close to you, they die, they get taken back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the pivotal moment for me was probably my auntie, because that was the first death we experienced. And then after that, I thought, okay, I'm going to start praying. And I still used to mess about. I was 13, 14 years old. I used to get up to no good and just, what teenagers do.
Yeah, what teenagers do.
But I thought, let me just be a bit better. So slowly what I would try to do is implement different strategies in my life from a very young age to be ahead of myself, to get ahead of myself. And Islam was never at the forefront of my life, but it was always part of who I was. Because again, Islam isn't just a religion; it's a lifestyle. It's something that we embody. It's something that's it's in our blood. And for me, the turning point in terms of making it intertwined with business was, I'd say, probably 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago. I used to use music in my content. I used to use instrumentals, and I never really saw a growth. So to put it into perspective, I've been on social media posting content for about 6 years. My fitness account, I've had it for about 6 years, since 2018. Since 2018 to 2022, I amassed 13 or 15,000 followers. From 2022 to 2023, it went from 14K to 120K, 130K.
MashaAllah.
And that was because of one thing, that I eliminated music. I eliminated music from my content. And the few things that I noticed after I did that was my growth on social media grew, the connections that I have grew, the amount of money I was earning exponentially grew, and how I was feeling posting content was a lot more authentic. And that was just one small change I made. I was still committing a lot of sins and everything like that, and I was, and by all means far from perfect, but eliminating one thing led to success and other doors opening for me. And I'm not saying that it's made things amazing for me. We still have our peaks and troughs, but it has changed things significantly after eliminating music.
Wow. That's, you know what, it comes at a very, very important and crossroad for our podcast, because we have been getting a lot of reminders. I don't think it's hate. Reminders, but probably they could be delivered in
I like how you call them reminders.
Yeah,
it sounds pretty hateful when I was reading the comments.
Man. But it made me think, though. It did make me think. Although some of them, a majority of them are very harsh, where they go attack you personally. They attack your businesses, they attack your this and that. But that's not why it made me realize, you know what? Because I often think, like, imagine today is my last day, tonight is my last night. What would other people like get from me? Is it something that I'm not proud of? Although, like, I've always said, I'm not a scholar, but there are various of opinions. I'm not lying. I'm not making something up. There's, Qatari scholars, there's Indian subcontinent scholars. They all have different, various views. That's not for me to debate, but it did make me think. And then, I did speak to the Halal Beats brother Umar, to see how we can really, because ultimately I want to appeal to the Muslim audience. And if I'm doing something opposite of what they want, it also doesn't make sense. So there's two things
but it's not just about what they want. It's not just about what they want. It's not just about who it's going to appeal to. Because at the end of the day, who are we here to please?
Exactly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And sometimes we get lost in that. Yeah. And, no matter how religious we might think of ourselves, no matter how much we pray.
No, absolutely.
Sometimes we can get lost in it. And all it takes is one small reminder. the only caveat to that is social media. They like to attack you whenever any mistake you do, and a lot of the time it's when you're doing something well. When you're, say for example, alhamdulillah, you're a successful businessman, you'll always find that the people who shun you and the people who criticize you quite a lot are the ones who are not doing anything close to what you're doing. And that's just how life works.
My point, and then I would like to ask the brothers and sisters who do come all guns blazing on contents, why are they on the platforms themselves? Are they hands on heart? Are they like blocking all forms of music? Or is it otherwise? Or are they just there to kind of gun you down?
Well, then that just goes back to saying, you're not perfect, so don't criticize me. Do you know what I mean? So we can't just turn around every time someone criticizes and say, well, why are you doing this then? At the end of the day, we take what they say with a pinch of salt, and we think, okay, is it okay, the delivery wasn't well, but the message is clear that we should try and follow some sort of Islamic concepts. But you're right, a lot of the time it's a lot of the people who like to look down on you and criticize you a lot of the time is, what are you doing behind closed doors? That's a question they need to ask themselves, not what we need to say to them. Well, you're doing this sin, you're committing this, you're not perfect. Well, at the end of the day, it was just the Prophet ﷺ who was perfect, none of us. So we will always sin, and we're always going to sin. But
it's like saying, right, I'm not going to pray because I've done this and that. Because prayer in itself is a command.
Exactly.
And you should do that anyway. But just because you're sinning somewhere else, that doesn't mean you should stop praying because of the other thing. You should continue to do whatever you can and eliminate the other activities.
Exactly. It's like saying, and a lot of people make this concept up, but it's like saying, imagine if you said to yourself, I'm not going to shower because I'm going to get dirty again. It's the same way with wudu, with salah, or I'm not going to pray because I'm just going to sin. Well, that's shaitan, he's feeding that into your mind. The same way that you would still shower every time you get dirty, that it's the same concept. Why wouldn't you want to pray even though you're going to sin? The best of those sinners are the ones who repent. So that's the kind of example that we need to follow.
Amazing. So look, you're quite heavy on helping Muslim men specifically. Why Muslim men? Why not men in general? I mean, is it because you've seen the rise of Muslim men's masculinity being kind of brushed under the carpet and try and push down? Or what is it?
100% of my clients are Muslim men, so why wouldn't I target them? Probably 90% of my audience is Muslim. I'm Muslim. My community is Muslim. People who are Muslim message me. Most of my interactions are with Muslims. Not saying that I don't have any interaction with non-Muslims, I have and I still do, but it seems to me that my content and me as a person, I gravitate towards Muslims, and they like what I post, they take inspiration from me, and evidently every single client I have is Muslim. So I thought, that's what's working. Why should I go towards something that doesn't work? I mean, how would I appeal to a non-Muslim guy who isn't looking for Islam, who isn't into fitness, and who has a completely opposite lifestyle to me? Nothing I say appeals to him. But if you have an overweight brother, say for example, he's not even from Bangladesh, he's from the other side of the world. Let's say he's Lebanese, but he's Muslim. He's overweight and he doesn't enjoy the gym. He has no attributes which share any commonality with me, but he's a Muslim. And that's what he'll take from me. That's what we'll have in common. So even though there's nothing else or any other interests that he shares with me, the one thing that unifies us is that we're Muslim. And that's where he can take relatability from me and think, okay, let me reach out to a brother like this. And that's how quite a lot of the times I've had clients, because they're not just from the UK, they're from all over the world, different backgrounds, but the thing that they have in common is they're all Muslim.
So I guess the difference between a PT who would train anyone and everyone that wants to be trained, but then you're an online coach, fitness coach, with a twist or with an angle for Muslim brothers.
I've never worked on a gym floor. I'm a qualified PT. I got the qualification when I was 19 whilst I was studying audiology. I thought I wanted to take it to the next level by doing it online, but I wanted to have some more credibility. My degree before audiology that I was doing sports science, and I wanted to do an integrated degree within sports medicine. So everything that I learned about the human body, I learned within the first year of that degree until transferring. But I wanted to still excel my knowledge because, again, I wanted to have credibility with who I am and what I'm teaching to people. And that's the thing, you know, you don't have to be a PT to be an online coach. And that's the unfortunate thing, because a lot of PTs don't know what they're doing. You pay for the course, and the course provider just care about getting the money, and that's it, you're on your way.
Some of these PTs, they need a PT themselves.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You have out of shape PTs in the gym. The gyms that I see.
How does that make? That's so hypocritical. I just don't get it.
Even look at the health governors for most of the countries, for Belgium, USA, England, they're all overweight. They're fat. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you're a health minister and a health governor, why are you overweight yourself? Why should we take advice from someone who's fat? It's like us taking Islamic advice from somebody who's not even a scholar. You wouldn't do that, would you?
That is mad. You want to help I guess, Muslim men be more masculine. Is that what it is? Or it's just, you just want to help them be better? Or is there an underlying kind of like, you know, motivation?
Just have a better and a more balanced lifestyle where we can balance the deen, fitness, business, personal life all together, and we don't have to make any compromises. Because a lot of the time people think you have to compromise one for the other. Masculinity does come into it, because I think if we take out this whole red pill notion of masculinity, which is completely against Islam, but if we look at true Islamic masculinity and, you know, being a provider, looking after your family, and being righteous, a righteous husband, a righteous son, a sibling even, these are the true forms of masculinity, is what you can teach to other people by still following Islamic guidelines and the way that the Prophet ﷺ did it and the way he taught, not from what you see from these social media gurus and how they interpret masculinity, because true masculinity in itself comes from Islam as well. And if you can follow true masculinity, you can live a much better lifestyle as well.
Amazing. I mean, it's about taking responsibility and taking that leadership role, because ultimately, I don't know what it is, but personally, I don't see anything. I think sisters should be pleased that certain brothers out there who want to look after them, who wants to provide for them, who wants to care for them.
Exactly.
And they just want to oppose to it. I just don't get it. And I'm sure that's not all the sisters, but there are.
It goes the same, you know, again, we can't just say it's just the sisters, because we have the brothers who don't want to do that.
True.
Who don't want to provide.
Absolutely right.
They say, oh, do you know what, in this day and age, it's extremely difficult, and, you know, it's hard for me, you know, you have to go and work full time. And again, this is from my point of view, where I'm saying that, look, if you're telling your wife, go work full time, go out in the world of work, and even after you give birth, you still have to work, and then you expect her to do everything at home, then which Islamic principle exactly are you following?
Yeah.
The solution could be is you just get off your ass and do more work, earn more money, and just become more responsible. That's the solution a lot of the time. But a lot of guys, they'll hide behind the whole concept of, oh no, you know, she needs to provide as well, she needs to do her bit as well. Oh, you're doing your bit half-assed. Come on, what's going on there, man?
Exactly. And do you think there could be some sort of manipulation as well in encouraging their wife or whoever to go and do work, and then, you know, giving them some responsibilities so they don't have to take some responsibilities, and if things went wrong, then they're kind of stuck because they've got so many responsibilities on them as well.
At the end of the day, if you're a married couple and you see your spouse struggling, okay, if you're a wife and you see your husband struggling, naturally what you'd want to do is you'd want to help.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of the time, the husband, he might not even say, I need help. And it's, you know, a wife might look at her husband and say, okay, he needs help. Which areas can I help him in? And it's not down to you to go and say, you have to work full time. Maybe just ask, can you help me out with the finances? And that's, I think, one of the biggest failures is within men and within our community as well, is we struggle to communicate. That's all it takes. If we learn how to communicate effectively, you know, we can come across and speak so well and be so well averse with each other. But what are we like when we're at home with our wives and with our families? How do we speak like that? Because that's the main relationship that you need to maintain. This whole facade that we've got going on social media, where everyone thinks, oh, Riaz, he speaks so well, his videos get so many views, or this brother, he speaks so well. Okay, yeah, that's fine, but what are you like under your own roof? Can we well and truly confidently say that we are not tyrants in our own houses, that we are not the causes of sometimes manipulation, or we're not the causes of, you know, misery in our house? How many people can confidently say that?
Subhanallah, you know, you hit the nail on the head, man. Because brothers, you're right. Yesterday, I heard of a story from a very, very close person. It's like the guy was so immature. Like, he started having domestic violence issues like from the same night of the wedding. And I'm like, yo, like, what's happening? Like, these are the stuff that you hear from someone else.
Not directly.
But this is like happening, and I'm so shocked. It's mad. So what would you say to the brothers who are kind of like, taking that lazy approach to life? They wanna get the haq, but they don't want to do what they have to do. They don't want to be that. Take the alpha male responsibility.
At the end of the day, nobody is going to do it for you. And you've heard this countless times. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to tell you, go on, do that thing that you need to do. You have to find it within yourself to think, okay, I have a responsibility. And even if this could be for the person or the guy who wants to get married, you need to realize that as a man, as a husband, and as somebody who has a huge amount of responsibility, you need to be able to, provide emotionally, physically, and financially as well. Okay, these three facets are really important in a man's life, because if you can't achieve these three things, then what are you actually aiming for and striving for? Of course, you have the whole Islamic concept as well, but well and truly, to maintain relationships and to just get up and do things, you need to be emotionally intelligent. You need to be able to provide physical and financial support as well, not just for your significant other, but for yourself as well. And the main thing is that we want everything. We want the shiny object right at the end, but we don't want the true knit and grit that comes in between. We don't want the late nights. We want the quickest get rich quick scheme. And that's why people always are selling these courses online, like, I can make you X amount, or I can make you this. And well and truly what you're doing is you're feeding into the minds of, I wouldn't even call them men, boys who want to just get that quick fix and get rich quick scheme. Because how many people actually want to do the hard work? Unless you have the capital for it to just go and spend, say, 100K on something, right? The capital that you need to provide is your time. And everybody has the capital of time, but not everybody has the capital of just graft, wanting to do it.
That is so important, the capital. It's a nice one, capital of graft, which is, I would definitely say, is lacking, because we hire people, bro. Like, and we meet people day in, day out. People are sending their CVs in. Do you have a job for me? I was like, no, I don't have a job for you. Learn to write a proper, at least have the courtesy to say hi, hello, salam, I'm looking for such and such. It's just straight like this. So, yeah, man, there are loads of help out there. And I say to people, like, just look at YouTube. There's so much, content, knowledge out there. Just
funny story, actually. Everything I learn, everything that makes me money now, I learn from YouTube. Apart from audiology, obviously I went to university, I learned that I work with patients. Everything I learned on YouTube. Videography, top to bottom, YouTube. This is whilst I was studying. Whilst everybody else was doing revision notes in the library, I'm there in the corner editing away, trying to figure out new videos. Videography, YouTube. Photography, YouTube. Different aspects of coaching, YouTube. Business, YouTube. Marketing, YouTube. Everything I learned was on YouTube. I had no money at the time, but one thing that I did have was time and commitment. So I just did everything that I could, and now things start to work out. It might take 1, 2, 3, 4 years, but eventually it will. You just have to persist constantly.
100%. Now, there are many people, like, there are generally sisters who are looking to get married and who want to get married, but they don't seem to find the right suitor. Or their thing is like, oh, it will come when it comes. How can they find? What can they actively do? Do you have any advice for the sisters who are watching? On how to find a potential spouse, because that is becoming a problem. Like, I've seen single Muslim, they're taking a tour out somewhere in Turkey where they're gonna have like halal speed dating or something. So it's things are like. Strange things. I find it quite strange because I have never seen it happen before. So that's why I'm saying it's strange. What can you say to those sisters who are looking to get married?
It's not just for the sisters, for the brothers as well. The ideology and the concepts are the same. Okay, that yes, you can say when Allah wills for me, yeah, I'm going to get married. But you have to take the first step. Your success in anything or whatever you do, it results from two things. It's your efforts and obviously the help of Allah from your du'as. You can't just pray for a spouse and then just sit and just be like, okay, that's it. I'm not going to do anything. Even now, a common thing is having wedding CVs, where you give it out. You don't have to show your picture or anything like that. And if somebody's interested, then yeah, you take it from there. You take it to the next step. But well and truly, you put me on the spot with the advice thing. I think if you're ready, you know when you're ready. Don't let your financial means be the reason why you stop getting married, because in between that, what you're going to do is you're going to commit a lot of sin and get into a lot of haram as well. And again, like I say, I'm not preaching, I'm not free from these sins, but one thing that I have learned from my own experience as well is just try and do the right thing. If you are in a haram relationship, if you don't have the financial means, just take the leap of faith, because once you get married, and you know this as well,
Allah's
mercy showers,
Yeah.
and your risk increases. There's barakah in your earnings, there's barakah in what you do, because you have eliminated a huge amount of zina from your life, and you've
100%.
eliminated a huge amount of sin from your life. And I think that's one of the most important things that people neglect, is they think, I'll get married, and you stay in these long-term relationships, which effectively becomes extremely toxic.
So there are brothers and sisters. Mashallah, you're correct. Thank you for. I'm learning a lot from you today. To have a much, because I do get gunned down a lot. Recently I was listening to Brother Rizwan's story. I think just because of the way the editing was done, and I appeared to be smirking, and I got so much heat for that. Sorry, I wasn't smirking for his loss, but anyway. There are sisters and brothers who are actually financially stable, but they don't feel the need for marriage is important. It's like the independence. They've enjoyed the independence life to a point where they kind of think, you know what, I don't maybe need to get married. How important is marriage?
Well, for the majority, it completes half your deen. And I think it's a bond that's contracted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's so much sanctity within that, a bond of marriage. Okay. And if you're constantly avoiding that, a lot of the time, and again, I've been married for less than a year, so I'm not by all means any expert on marriage, but the change in my life from when I was married to when I didn't have anyone and when I wasn't married is a huge difference. A lot of the challenges you might face before, but now that you have a spouse, it makes it easier. And I'm not afraid to say that I rely heavily on my wife for support. And I think, a lot of men should. You go to your wife for support, lean on her for support, whatever it is. There's nobody watching, there's no cameras, just be who you really want to be.
Definitely.
And a lot of men are afraid to do that.
They have that ego thing as well.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be asking her for help. But it's like, imagine she doesn't need you. She doesn't show the need for you. Then you'd feel kind of that, I'm not needed. You're not welcome. So I've learned that recently. It's like, show the neediness.
Yeah.
Show that you're weak. Show your weaknesses.
As humans, we quite often we want to feel useful and we want to feel needed as well, with any aspect, whether it's emotionally, physically, financially. And I think this is a lot of toxicity happens in the Asian community as well. A lot of the Asian men and dads and husbands, they don't want to lean on their wives, or they don't go for that emotional support, and they shy away from it quite often, and it creates a barrier because again there's a lack of communication, and that love that she's expecting from you isn't really reciprocated. So you find yourself in a bit of a dilemma, like, what am I supposed to do? If I show her that I need her, I'm showing weakness.
Yeah.
But in essence, if you can't show your weakness to your spouse, the person who's going to be with you in Jannah as well, inshallah, then who can you show your weakness to at the end of the day in this dunya?
It's those simple things that we think, is making us look bad. But I think in reality, it does more good than bad. There's so much we can talk about. There's way too many things to talk about. Inshallah, we know we will continue our discussion, and hopefully it's online. We have come to the end of our conversation. Unfortunately, we'll carry on after the studio, inshallah. Let's end with a quick fire questions. Try and be as brief as possible and as quick as possible with your response. What's your favorite hobby?
Creating content.
Wow, amazing. If you could have one job for a day, what would it be, apart from what you're doing?
I'd like to be an imam for a day.
Do you know what? I get that sometimes. I imagine I could give khutbah because the people have to give their attention. It's wajib for them to give attention to you. Put the phone away, and then I can talk to them freely. Favorite quote or hadith?
So many.
Okay, it could be anything. Any quote that generally ignites your thinking, it gets you to propel forward?
Verily with hardship comes ease.
MashaAllah, that is amazing. And what's the last thing that you do before you hit bed?
I read Quran.
MashaAllah, that is such a good thing to do, MashaAllah. I do that.
And that's mainly now only because my wife encourages me to. It's like sometimes I can't go to sleep when she says, have we done either Surah Al-Baqarah or Surah Al-Baqiyah? And again, a different topic, but
that is such a blessing to have, bro. Like, to have a wife that is encouraging you to get closer to Allah. And may Allah bless you and your family for everything that you're doing. And may Allah grant so much success in your businesses. And inshallah, we are going to be seeing a world champion, world-renowned fitness platform,
inshallah,
from brother Riaz Uddin. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have enjoyed our today's episode of Side by Side. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share it with your family and friends. And if you have any guest recommendations, don't forget to comment below and we will do our absolute best to get them on. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Assalamu alaikum.